मुसाफिर है, आता है जाता है, आते जाते रास्ते में
यादें छोड़ जा।
अरे वाह, you got it perfect, well done.
Hello and welcome to ITMI Presents Expert Talk Show. I am Aditi Kapoor.
And I'm Shashank Sawan, and today we are here with a special guest and a special interview. और जब इंटरव्यू स्पेशल होता है और गेस्ट स्पेशल होते हैं तो उनके लिए एक स्पेशल इंट्रोडक्शन लिखा जाता है। इंट्रोडक्शन के लिए जब रिसर्च हो रही थी तो एक सिरा हाथ आया। सिरा ये था कि ऐसी कौन सी खलिश थी एक 23 वर्षीय युवा वकील के जीवन में जो उसे पत्रकारिता के चौखट पे ले आई। क्या ये नियति मात्र थी या फिर बहराम कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के साथ की गई द आफ्टरनून डिस्पैच एंड कुरियर में वो इंटर्नशिप जिसमें अखबारों की वो खुशबू, टाइपराइटर की वो आवाज़ महसूस हुई थी? ये एक सवाल है जिसका जवाब वही युवा वकील या ये कहें वो तजुर्बेकार पत्रकार, you know whom I'm talking about?
I absolutely do. He's like that cool professor who breaks down complex, tricky political information and news into simple, relatable points. We're talking about none other than Padma Shri Rajdeep Sardesai.
A very warm welcome, sir.
Shashank, Aditi, thank you very much. You've been very kind that you remembered even Behram contractor and afternoon वो मेरी पहली जॉब थी। मैं इंटर्न एक तरह से था।
Yes, sir.
कॉलेज से समर वेकेशन में उनके साथ काम करता था। बड़े अजब आदमी थे। उनका नाम बिजी भी उनको कहते थे मुंबई में। तो आपने पुरानी यादें एक तरह से दिला दी with that introduction, so thank you very much.
Sir, you've just interacted with the students of ITMI. Did it remind you of your own college days?
It did in a way, because I could see the excitement and buzz in when I came in, and I'm not a celebrity, but I remember one Shabana Azmi came into our college, and we were all very excited because she'd just done a couple of fantastic films at the time, and we just wanted to sort of ask her about Manthan and Ankur and all the films. So it was a bit like that. These are the best days of your life when you don't have to worry about the pressures of breaking news, but just enjoy the news process and the learning of journalism.
Sir, it seems like you're really fond of films.
हाँ, मुझे देखो यार, I'm fond of films, I'm fond of music, I'm fond of sport.
Right.
When you're in journalism, you need other interests. Otherwise, if politics obsessed you all the time, then जिंदगी भी जिंदगी क्या होती है?
बिल्कुल सर। और जब जर्नलिज्म की बात आई सर, तो ये शिफ्ट कैसे था सर? क्योंकि हमारे रिसर्च में सबसे बड़ा क्वेश्चन यही आ रहा था, फ्रॉम लॉ टू जर्नलिज्म।
मैं हल्के में कभी कहता हूँ कि अगर आप किसी और चीज़ में सफल नहीं होते, इज ऑलवेज जर्नलिज्म। अगर आप मैं बनना चाहता था क्रिकेटर, मेरे पास टैलेंट नहीं थी। मैं फिर लॉयर बनने की कोशिश कर रहा था, लेकिन बहुत मेहनत लगती, तो मैं पत्रकार बन गया। लेकिन मोर सीरियसली, I used to write occasionally for Times of India from Oxford. I used to also write for Afternoon. So when I came back and I was at a loose end, मैं सोच रहा था कि do I go straight to the courts? क्या करें? 3 महीने में कोर्ट्स में था, लेकिन कुछ मज़ा नहीं आ रहा था। तो that time I went and met दिलीप पडगांवकर in Times of India. उन्होंने कहा you come from Oxford, you should become an assistant editor. तो मैंने कहा assistant editor बड़ा अच्छा sound, almost like number 2 to editor. वैसे कई assistant editor हुआ करते थे, लेकिन that's how I joined, and there was something about a newspaper that I loved.
Right.
मेरा पहला प्यार अखबार है। अगर आप मुझे पूछे कि असली प्यार क्या है, टीवी से ज़्यादा मैं अखबार से प्यार करता हूँ। जब मैं छोटा था या 12 साल का था, मुझे अभी याद है 77 में इंदिरा गांधी एक चुनाव हारी थी, और मैं बहुत एक्साइटेड होके पेपर लेके सबको बिल्डिंग में, हमारे कॉलोनी में, फिर स्कूल में सबको बता रहा था, फिर इंदिरा गांधी हार गई। अब यार सोचो कि 12 साल का लड़का ये अखबार हाथ में लेकर ये कह रहा है। सो आई वॉज डीपली इन लव विद न्यूज़पेपर्स, एंड दैट लव आई थिंक टुक मी टू जर्नलिज्म।
सर, ये जो लव फॉर न्यूज़पेपर था, उससे टीवी एंड दैट टू अ टीवी न्यूज़ सेलिब्रिटी, ट्रांजिशन कैसा था सर?
देखिए, 2 चीज़ें हैं इसमें। एक तो टीवी न्यूज़ जस्ट हैपेंड। मैं 94 में दिल्ली आया। हम लोग उस समय मैं टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में था, और मैं टेलीग्राफ करके कलकत्ता का अखबार था, उसमें शिफ्ट हो रहा था, और टेलीग्राफ एक दिल्ली एडिशन लाने वाला था। तो मैंने कहा यार दिल्ली एडिशन, आई वांटेड टू गो टू दिल्ली, आई वांटेड टू बी इन द सेंटर ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स, कैपिटल में रहना है। तो मैं दिल्ली आया, 6 महीने तक इंतजार किया, एडिशन नेवर केम आउट। फिर आई मेट प्रणॉय रॉय वंस एट इंडिया इंटरनेशनल सेंटर। उन्होंने कहा, मैं उनको वर्ल्ड दिस वीक से जानता था, तो मैं उनके पास गया, तो उन्होंने कहा यस I'm starting a news show. मुझे लगा यार news show. He said, why don't you also join us? So I said, यार कुछ नई चीज़ है, करते हैं. I thought I'd do it for 6 months, 1 year. Now it is 30 years. Celebrity जहाँ तक है वो उसका एक कारण है. तब बाकी कोई चैनल्स नहीं थे. लोगों के पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं था, हमें देखना था.
So
that's how we were beneficial. There was no competition. आज आपके पास इतने digital है. You know the era of sort of specialization or era of sort of one channel is gone. So I was a beneficiary.
So this transition that you're talking about from Bombay to Delhi, I mean, a lot of us at ITMI have left our homes and come here to pursue journalism. What was going on in your mind at that time when you were making that transition? Were there apprehensions, or were you just looking at it as a new opportunity?
You know, that's a good question, because I see myself as a hardcore Bombayite or Mumbaikar.
Right.
You know, I lived most of my first 29 years in Mumbai. I came to Delhi. I got married here that year. So Sagarika is a Delhiite, so that was one comfort factor. But honestly, first, I remember the first winter, I said, my God, I can't handle this. And I remember power cuts. मैंने कहा यार power cuts, we had never seen power cuts in Mumbai. मैंने कहा यार कुछ और करना है. कुछ, you know, I don't think I'll survive Delhi for more than a year. But because TV happened at that time and we got carried away with this whole excitement of something new, I adjusted very quickly, I think. And there is something nice, and I then began to embrace the winters. You know, I used to go for walks in Lodi Garden. मैंने कहा यार इतने अच्छे. I miss the sea though. मैं अगर मैं कहूँ ना one thing, and now as I get older, मैं हर महीने एक बार मुंबई चला जाता हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे not only do I want to meet my mother, my daughter now lives there, but I just, you know, old friends, you miss that, the sea, my Maidan. But you know, Delhi has been good to me and kind to me, and to all the young people who are shifting, see every move or every opportunity you get as a new challenge, and if you embrace the challenge, you will enjoy it. I think if I hadn't moved to Delhi, I don't think I would have grown as a journalist, as a person. So I'm very grateful in a way to Delhi. ये city बड़ी अजब है, कुछ बदमाशी भी है इसमें, कुछ अच्छापन भी है. You have to embrace both.
So when we talk about Bombay, Delhi, we cannot miss food.
Yes.
And is there a choice that you can make between the two?
देखो यार, ये बहुत मुश्किल सवाल है. I still think that the street food of Mumbai is special.
Vada pav,
मिसल, वो sandwich एक आता है, Bombay sandwich. Bombay sandwich, बिल्कुल, not Mumbai, we still call it Bombay sandwich. I miss the kala, you know, kala khatta. There was a, you know, when I grew up, I was playing so much of cricket on the Maidan, so I used to have a lot of street food. वो मैं miss करता हूँ. But Delhi में, if you go to Pindi and have butter chicken or have more, if you have nihari in Old Delhi, or even, you know, some of the parathe wali gali में जाओ, अचार जो मिलते हैं विंटर में, you know, there is something special about Delhi. Look, this is the most diverse, unique country in the world.
Absolutely.
And the food reflects the diversity. I just love one of the great reasons why I could never live anywhere else in the world. And I rushed back from Oxford to India. I miss the smells of our Indian food. मुझे दाल चावल मिल जाए कहीं भी, nothing else matters in life. And this is, you know, that's I think we should celebrate India's food diversity.
Right.
सर फूड डाइवर्सिटी की बात करते हैं, कल्चर डाइवर्स है हमारा. जो डाइवर्सिटी अभी मीडिया के अंदर देखने के लिए मिल रही है सर, थैंक्स टू डिजिटल, कि जो ट्रांजिशनल फेज़ है हमारा, टीवी से डिजिटल के पास आ गए हैं, तो इसके अंदर आप क्या देखते हैं, कौन कौन सी अलग अलग चीज़ें हैं जिसका हमें ध्यान देना चाहिए एज बर्डिंग जर्नलिस्ट?
You know, I made this point at the lecture here as well. I think we need to tell stories of people. हम लोगों की स्टोरीज इतने नहीं दिखाते जितने दिखानी चाहिए. मैं उदाहरण की तरह देता हूँ. अमरावती में इस बार महाराष्ट्र जब चुनाव हुआ था, मैं महिला के घर गया था जिसके पति ने आत्महत्या की थी 6 महीने पहले, क्योंकि वो 1 लाख रुपए का लोन नहीं दे पाए. और उस महिला से बात करने के बाद मुझे पता चला कि वाकई क्या लोगों की दशा एक तरह से, किस मुसीबत से लोग चलते हैं. तो उनसे वो बात करने के बाद वो जब स्टोरी चली तो कई लोगों ने स्पॉन्टेनियसली पैसे देने की बात कही. And we were fortunate, we were able to pay off her loan, we have been able to get extra money. अब उस तरह की स्टोरीज ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए. We need to tell stories that will make a difference. कोई फर्क पड़ेगा. नेता तो अपना करते रहेंगे, but I think if we are able to with passion, with tell stories of people their challenges, also their successes. You know, we need to tell more good news stories as well. So there's a lot that's good also happening around us. So if we can tell those stories, I think we will restore a lot of the credibility that I fear sometimes we have lost. So I encourage people now to tell more stories of people and fewer stories of netas.
So we can gain credibility, but with the option and choices which we can make on the digital, we get certain type of setbacks and consequences also, like trolls. How to handle that?
वो तो चलता रहता है. Trolling is, look, you are a lucky generation. I started on a typewriter. There was no TV. I mean, TV was only one Doordarshan था. There was no internet, no computer. In fact, when the computer came to our office, we went on a pen down strike, thinking कि हमारी नौकरियाँ चली जाएगी. You guys are real time. Everything is there in this mobile. You can broadcast from anywhere in the world. You're a lucky generation. Use that. Use your technology to sort of tell the right news, correct be fact checkers. Use social media wisely. As far as trolling goes, I have been a victim and a beneficiary. But Twitter is a dangerous double-edged sword. It can connect you to millions of people, but they can also point the finger at you. So I'm very careful now. I'm trying to be careful now. But trolling is, look, that's part of the process. We were lucky कि अगर कोई हमारा आर्टिकल पसंद नहीं करता था 30-35 साल पहले, they would write a letter to the editor. बस उतना ही उनका feedback था. Now they can give you feedback instantly. But I think you are a lucky generation. So use your luck and use technology in particular.
Sir, another question that comes to the mind is something that you talk about very often is the McDonaldization of news, which is that with fast-paced, information, how do we sort of make our choices and look out for quality reporting?
It's a huge question, and I think what I call the McDonaldization of news is news being given to you like a McDonald's hamburger. कि तुरंत सब कुछ दे दो. Look, there is space for that also. There are people who have limited time, limited attention span. They need 10 stories in 10 minutes or even 10 stories in 2 minutes. There are those who have time for long format, and I think there is space for both. I do personally believe that the real focus should be on quality now. The more you give quality news, the more people will be drawn to you, because I have a lot of choices. अगर मुझे आपकी न्यूज़ अच्छी नहीं लगे आदित्य, I'll just press a remote button and move to the next channel or find some other way to consume news. So I think in this era where news consumers are king or queen, we need to be very, very conscious that people have limited time. And whatever we give them should be done with quality. The McDonaldization of news sometimes prevents quality from coming out. And I would guard against that. I still believe there is huge space for quality news and information.
सर, क्वालिटी की तलाश में कई बार ऐसा होता है कि चैलेंजेस बहुत सारे आ जाते हैं. आपके लाइफ की सबसे चैलेंजिंग स्टोरी जो आपने कवर की हो?
It's a tough one. In a strange way, जो मुंबई में हुआ ना 92 और 93 के बीच में दंगे हुए और बम ब्लास्ट हुए, दिसंबर 92 से मार्च 93 तक, मेरे ज़िंदगी में वो 3 महीने मैं कभी नहीं भूलूंगा. क्योंकि मैं मुंबई कर था, मुंबई वाला था. मेरी मुंबई बड़े I lived in an age of innocence. बड़े आराम से क्रिकेट खेलना, दोस्तों को मिलना. Then you see a city being torn apart by riots, then by blasts, particularly that day of the blast. Pre-mobile age. One blast taking place after another in different corners, putting it all together, getting that front page out at the end. It was easily the most difficult day, I think, in terms of just processing what had happened to Mumbai. So, in that sense, you could call it challenging, difficult, but I will never forget that period of time. I think if I had any doubts in my mind that should I really be a journalist, those 3 months settled it. I said, I want to be here, observe whatever is going on. I remember when suddenly we found out Sanjay Dutt ke ghar pe AK-47 aa gaye. I'll still never forget all of that processing. It was a very rapidly evolving situation in a pre-mobile age. So I have sometimes wondered कि हमने वो खबर कैसे, how did all our reporting team come together and put that story together? It was a big challenge.
सर, चैलेंजेस आते हैं, स्टोरीज ऐसी कवर करते हैं, हमें डिस्टर्ब कर देते हैं. इससे ओवरकम कैसे कर सकते हैं? आपके बारे में जो हमने थोड़ा पढ़ा, तो आप ब्रेक ले लेते हैं. हर डिकेड के बाद आपका कुछ ना कुछ शिफ्ट आता है, ऐसा एक ट्रांजिशन ऐसा आता है जब आप प्रिंट से टीवी में आ गए, फिर आप ऑथर की तरह भी आपने किताबें भी लिख दी 3 महीने में. सो हाउ डू द बडिंग जर्नलिस्ट, हम लोग क्या एक ऐसा तरीका ढूंढ सकते हैं जो कि एक कॉमन फैक्टर हो जिससे हम ओवरकम कर पाए इन चीज़ों को?
देखिए, मुझे लगता है कि ज़िंदगी को आप एक सफ़र मानिए, एंड एज आई सेड अर्लियर, एम्ब्रेस न्यू चैलेंजेस। नयापन हमेशा ज़िंदगी में आना चाहिए। यू नो, फ्यू इयर्स अगो आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग नेता नगरी और लल्लन टॉप। अब मुझे नहीं पता था कि लल्लन टॉप क्या होगा, शुरू कर दिया। इट इज़ अ ह्यूज सक्सेस, लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल वॉच इट। इफ आई डोंट अपीयर 1 week, आई गेट मैसेज, अरे कहाँ गए आप? तो एक्चुअली आई मस्ट कन्फेस, दिस डिजिटल एज हैज गिवन मी अ न्यू लीज ऑफ लाइफ ऑलमोस्ट, कि कई नए ऑडियंसेस आ रहे हैं। सो आई थिंक देयर हैज टू बी अ कांस्टेंट अटेम्प्ट टू रीच आउट टू न्यू ऑडियंसेस, फाइंड न्यू वेज ऑफ कम्युनिकेटिंग। यार, बूढ़े मत हो जाओ। इवन उम्र में अगर आप बूढ़े हो जाओ, दिल से जवान रहो। So, you know, and be ready to embrace the young. I learn so much from all of you. You guys are more talented. I'm sure you use all these. You know exactly what more you can do with a mobile phone, mojos, units. It dazzles me what you can do. I remember first time I did a TV show, program for World This Week. I was struggling with the camera. मुझे 10 P2C करने पड़े. I was so scared of the camera. But you've got to embrace change. So if you embrace change, are willing to make the transitions as I have tried, I think chalta rehta hai, something new always excites you. So even book writing was part of that process of doing something new and challenging.
So with this influx of information, there's often this question that comes, ahead, is that the young generation, how much important it is for us to read books, and especially for journalists, what is the importance of it?
I think we have to read. You know, reading is a huge asset to any journalist. Now, you can read one book in a month, you can read one book in a week, you can read a magazine. What happens in journalism, and I saw it happen to me for a long time, was because we were so deeply involved in journalism, तो फिर 10 newspaper पढ़ने हैं, magazine पढ़ने हैं, which is all very well, but every now and then you need to also read a book, I think. So I think there is no substitute for reading. Reading is the best joy that you can get as a journalist, because it enables you to digest information, process it, have the knowledge base then to perhaps speak out on issues. I remember you have to be excited about news. Whether you do it through reading. I used to just get excited by news. I remember Kuldeep Nayyar ने किताब लिखी थी during the 77 elections. I think it was called Judgment, and then there was a book called All the Prime Ministers, Men by Janardhan Thakur. ये सब किताबें 12-13 साल पढ़ने के बाद I was very excited. I never met Indira Gandhi, but I would have loved to meet her.
So do books help you unwind, or are there other options that you go for?
No, the books I use on long journeys and all. What helps me unwind is music, especially Kishore Kumar. I mean,
Any particular song that you would like to tell us?
No, if I start singing in this program, we'll have to shut down then. But there is my favorite song is a song. I mean, if I had to choose, there are lots of favorites, but Zindagi ke safar mein guzar jate hain wo makaan wo fir nahi aate. That is Rajesh Khanna, Anand Bakshi, R.D. Burman. I mean, those were all magical sort of names for me. So music and sport. I'm going to watch the cricket in Melbourne. I'm very excited. I've never seen a test match in Melbourne. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. My wife asked me, she doesn't follow cricket. So when I told her, she said, do you want to go to Melbourne all the way to watch cricket? I said, yes. And then I tried to explain why, that there will be 100,000 people out there. It is this, I grew up, my father was a test cricketer.
Right.
And so I grew up in a home where cricket was always spoken about. So the Boxing Day test was something I used to listen to radio in those days. I was a kid. I'd get up in the morning at 5:30 Australia and listen to the radio. Chota radio tha ghar mein. I'd take it away from my parents' room and try and get the right bandwidth. So for me to actually be in Melbourne is going to be special. So I guess these are ways to sort of get away from it all. And we all should have our stress busters in life, Some are more expensive, going all the way to Melbourne, but some could be easier. I went recently with my friends to watch a cricket match 2 months ago in Mumbai, and we did all the things that we used to do as kids. A group of us, we went to the same idli sambar joint for lunch. We we got a choco stick. Whatever, you do these things in the belief that something should not change in life.
Sir, cricket में whom do you relate with more? सचिन तेंदुलकर और वीरेंद्र सहवाग?
Neither. I relate to Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I find Dhoni. I mean, let me be honest. Sachin is someone who's very precious to all of us because I played with his brother. His brother was in same team as me, so we watched him grow up and we love him for what he achieved. He was just phenomenal. But so was Sehwag. But for me, Dhoni is India's story. You know, to come from Ranchi, become this big star. I've always believed 21st century is going to belong in a way to, if I may be allowed, small town India. Those who are going to come with the hunger, passion, ambition to make it big. Dhoni symbolizes it to me. I remember when I interviewed him for my book on cricket, I was like really awestruck. I was a fan. And you know, he gave me the time which was special. But you know, Dhoni is someone, he told me, from ticket collector at Kharagpur station to 1 decade later holding the World Cup. That's a great Indian story.
सर ऐसी ही ग्रेट इंडियन स्टोरी हम चाहते हैं हमारे भी इंस्टीट्यूट से निकले, जर्नलिज्म के फील्ड में निकले। तो सर उनके लिए जो जर्नलिज्म के धोनी बनना चाह रहे हैं, उनके लिए 5 टिप्स।
5?
Yes sir.
अरे बाप रे,
थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा डिमांडिंग।
अच्छा, 5 tips for young people who are going to come out of India Today Media Institute. Look, I think the first and basic tip is have passion for news. जो भी आप करना है पैशन से करिए। आप इंटरव्यू कर रहे हैं बड़े पैशन से, I see you have even taken down questions. That's the way to do it. So the passion should be there. कुछ भी हो, I want to do it well, and you know that is a first requirement. Number 2 is as I said earlier, human touch रखिए. You know, कभी भी अपने आप को मत सोचिए you are bigger than the medium. या आप celebrity बन गए हो, you've arrived. Life is a journey. सफ़र मानते रहिए और चलते रहिए from one day to another. Every day is a new day. हर दिन एक नई experience होती है. Number 3 is, and I guess that's the third and final one, is just be a decent human being. You know, if you are a good human being, it matters more than being a great journalist. Journalism चलते रहिए, but if you are a decent human being, it will also reflect, I think, in some of your journalism, in the empathy that you show to people, especially victims in a situation on the ground, and celebrate life. You know, more than, you know, we spend so little time celebrating life. I'm equally, I mean, my kids will tell you that over the years, my daughter was born and next day I had gone to Pakistan. My wife has never forgiven me for it. But there was an election in Pakistan, मुझे visa मिल गया था. So I said, look, I've got to go. So my daughter thinks that I was unfair to her. I said, you are only 1 day old. How will you know I will? But the truth of the matter is, I think we worry too much about the future. कि क्या होगा 10 साल बाद मिला. Just celebrate the moment, enjoy life, and I think you'll be okay. You know, आदमी मुसाफिर है, आता है, जाता है, आते जाते रास्ते में यादें छोड़ जा। अरे वाह, you got it, perfect, well done.
Sir, last question.
Yes,
for ITMI.
Yes.
It's that for the way forward and in terms of like the primary focus for mentoring at ITMI, what would you suggest?
Look, I think one thing is very clear. We are in as I called you, the lucky generation. I think we are in an age where technology is merging almost seamlessly with information and creating this huge information ecosystem. And it will pose a lot of challenges in the future in terms of fact checking, in terms of using technology better to transmit information. The kind of news that people will want will vary from wanting an Instagram news reel to wanting a long format TV program. So I think diversity and multimedia is the way forward. And in terms of mentoring, therefore, I think it's important at places like ITMI to prepare the young for the challenges of the future, to make them more equipped to deal with a variety of situations. You know, I come from a generation, as I said, where there was the typewriter. And we perhaps had less competition in that sense, not so many newspapers, not so many TV channels, certainly. So I think now you've got to be prepared for a more hyper-competitive age and equip yourself with all that you can to be a better communicator. I think the one thing that will bind, you know, you want to call them content creators. I hear this now, the new buzzword is content creator. And I'm not a journalist. Someone interviewed me for my book and they said, I'm not a journalist, I'm a content creator. I said, okay, I get it. So I think now the lines will blur. Journalism, content creator, communicator. But at the end of the day, if you have, as I said, the the passion for information and news gathering, you will succeed. So I think the mentoring has to be to prepare people for this multimedia age.
That's interesting.
And एक question.
Yeah, अरे बिल्कुल हमेशा पूछना चाहिए.
So we were
I used to
discussing-
keep asking one, sir, last question, and I would ask 10 last questions.
ये थोड़ा सा सुरेंद्र जी के अलावा सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पर्सन आपकी लाइफ में.
Surinder is the most important. I mean, he's probably one of the more. Look, I've been very fortunate, and I think that's good. You know, most of the people who work with me at a personal level have been with me for more than 2 decades. So, I guess I must have done something right, or they have done something right. But the most important people in my life are, at the end of the day, my family, especially my children. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that, you know, as you get older, you just step back and you bask in their successes and their achievements. And you know, it's like, I believe life is a baton relay. One generation must hand over to the other. So neither of my kids are journalists, which is good. But I take great pride in what they achieve. That my son runs a clinic, daughter's a lawyer. What they achieve, and that's it. Apna time ho gaya. I almost think now it's your time. अब आपका टाइम आने वाला है.
टाइम आएगा.
बिल्कुल
और आपकी
आएगा.
छत्र छाया
आपका
में
टाइम.
आएगा.
अरे मेरी छत्र छाया कोई नहीं. ये सब नॉर्थ इंडियन समझते ये छत्र छाया ये हिंदी भाषा छोड़ दीजिए ना. People have to make their own. You have to make your own path, and I'm sure you will. This generation has a lot of the passion and ambition and aspiration that perhaps we didn't have because we didn't see the future like you do. India's time. India का time आएगा. This is India's time. I believe this is a remarkable country all we need is equal opportunity. Indians को equal opportunity दे दो, we will break every door in the world.
So we really hope and we really aspire to make you proud. And
Sure.
as we embark on this journey of journalism, thank you so much for joining us here. So we're honored.
It's a privilege to be here, and let me also say that India today remains one of the great brands of Indian journalism. And I think what Arun Puri started off in 1970s has become a true institution. And I think a lot of the students should be very privileged to be associated with such a great name of Indian journalism.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow, 3 cab.
3 cap, of course.
I heard all of